Jason's Metal Tones using the Pod XT Live unit, part 3. Hopefully you guys have seen part 1 and 2. If not, you may want to scratch it because the tones I have on part 3 are better. And actually, I made a part 3 a couple weeks ago, but I wasn't really happy with it, so instead of making a part 4, I just redid part 3. I didn't want it to be like, Friday the 13th, where it has like 50 sequels, You guys would probably get tired of that. So, here's the real part 3, and hopefully I won't have to redo this one, because I'm pretty satisfied with the tones that I've gotten up to this point. I've narrowed it down to 1 amp for rhythm, and that's the Line 6 tread plate amp, and I'm using the Lunatic amp for leads. I went over both of those amps in parts 1 and 2 of my videos, my prior videos, and I got some decent tones out of those. But basically what I did, I changed the mic settings a little bit. I was using the 57 mic, which I guess mimics the Shure 57, and now I'm using the condenser mic on the Pod. I think that mic sounds a little bit better, and it's not as tinny. Pods are famous for that hiss and then that tinny sound that you get. So this sort of eliminates that and gives you a little bit darker sound. I like a little bit darker metal sound. Darkness imprisoning me, all that I see, absolute horror. Metallica lyrics. How can you go wrong with that, right? Anyway, on a side note real quick before we dive in, these pods, things like the Axe FX, the Pod HD 500 this out, the 11 rack, all these different units are supposed to mimic the sound and feel of a tube amp. One thing I want to just express real quick before I move on is that you can't really capture that exact sound and feel of an amp. It doesn't mean that you can't get a good sound out of your unit. I don't care what you're playing with. If you mess with the EQ, even on this XT Live unit that I'm playing through, if you mess with the EQs and your settings enough, and and come up with a tone that you like, then that's all that really matters. Who cares if it doesn't sound like a real, a real Mesa Boogie or a real Ingo amp or Marshall or whatever? Who cares? It doesn't matter. If you like the tone, that's what matters, and more importantly, if the tone that you dial in sounds good in the mix. So, without further ado, let's get on to the sounds. I will post the specs of the amps, the 2 amps I'm using. I'm using the tread plate again for my rhythms, the Lunatic for leads. I'll post the specs as the song that I wrote is playing with the full mix. But first, I just want to go over a few quick tunes here. I'm going to press record, so this is going to be some syncing, probably some bad syncing because I'm using a flip camera, but I'm using my studio here, Studio One, to capture my sound. So I'll try to sync this the best I can. And no, I didn't mean the band in sync. I meant, my video and music being in sync. Just so we got that covered, okay? We're recording. First, I'm going to play the tread plate for you. This is the tread plate amp. And again, I'll post the specs in the upcoming song here. That is the tread plate. Now I want to show you this real quick. Sorry, my pod's behind me. I also came up with a really cool rhythm tone using the Lunatic amp, and this is it. I'm just kind of playing whatever. The Lunatic, that tone, now to me that tone sounds good out here. It sounds actually better than the tread plate. However, the tread plate amp sounds better in the overall mix. And that's something, that was a really hard lesson I had to learn, is having a good sound out here, like in my room, through an amp or through the pod or whatever, having a great sound, but then getting that sound to sound good in the mix. Sometimes those sounds are two different things. So, this sound that tone with the Lunatic amp for rhythm is actually muddy in my mix. So I switched back to the tread plate amp. The tread plate amp, it's got a little bit more brightness to it. I don't like tones that are too bright, but it's got a tad bit brightness to it, and it sounds better in the overall mix when I'm doing my rhythm tracks panned. So I'm using the tread plate amp. Now for the lead tone, switching patches again. For the lead tone, I'm using the Lunatic amp. It's got a little bit more edge, a little bit more gain to it, it seems like, and it sounds better for the leads in my opinion. Now, I do add a little bit delay on this. I play a lot of fast stuff, so I use this front pickup so it doesn't sound so muddy. So here's the lead tone. That is the lead tone with the Lunatic amp. So I'm pretty happy with the lead tone. Before I was using, I think it was a Spinal Puppet, a Line 6 Spinal Puppet amp for leads. I found that to be just a little too muddy, and it didn't have quite enough gain, the gain I was looking for. So anyway, that's the tones out here by themselves. Now I will share the tones with you in the mix of a song I wrote. It's called Welcome to My Alternate Universe, and I'm probably going to be making some changes to the tune and the leads, and there will be lyrics, but this is just like a instrumental for now. So, but I will post the settings and the specs on the tread plate rhythm amp that I use for rhythm, and also the Lunatic amp settings I use for leads. So, like to hear it? Here it goes.